Hi, I'm Rohit, and I'm going to continue with contemplations on love, life, and beyond. Now, I thought I'd explain a little bit about why this idea of contemplations was so important to me. What's happening here is that we've heard of meditation, we've heard of different ways in which to improve ourselves. But the idea of contemplation is a very ancient one. It is to be able to meditate on a thought, a word. And I don't mean like obsessive thinking or things to do or that kind of stuff or worry or fear, but something that is uplifting, to take a sentence, to take a word and contemplate it and to try to bring that into your life. So, for example, some of the things that I've contemplated on in my life have been things like the idea that to not judge others. So I actually heard that first from a statement from the Bible, which said, "Judge not, lest you be judged." And I was like, wow, I really like this because I didn't like being judged. I grew up amongst people who were very critical, and and finding fault was kind of the way in which you uh, dealt with your family, or you kind of, your parents addressed their children like, you did this, didn't do this, and you didn't do that. They didn't quite tell you what you did right, but they were very quick to tell you what you did wrong. Teachers did the same thing, and then kids did it to each other, and eventually it just becomes a way of life where you're looking for what the other person is not doing right. So I knew that was something I absolutely uh, had not enjoyed about growing up. And so when people started, when I heard of this thought that judge not lest you be judged, it's like, how can I really use that in my life? And so I began to practice it. And it's been a long time now, but I think easily 30 years I've been doing this. Is I made it a practice that I would not judge anyone else. And since I wasn't going to judge anyone else, I decided, well, I guess I'm not going to judge me either because I don't like being judged. That's kind of where this whole thing started from. And I find that it makes such a big difference to live your life um, in a way that you are not judging either people or situations or places or the weather or yourself. And in fact, that there is a deep acceptance for all of life as it is. So from that came the idea that, you know what, we're all going to make mistakes, we're all going to mess up, we're all going to do stupid things, and we still want to be loved. We still want to be able to know that despite our flaws, despite our mistakes, despite all the ways in which we mess up, we will still be worthy of being loved. In my book, uh, Loving Soulfully, there was a portion there where I write, love is unconditional. And if you haven't read this book, by the way, it's free on my website. So just go to rohitjuneja.com. You'll see my name on the screen. Type it in, rohitjuneja.com, and go to the bottom, subscribe, and it's yours for free in color, right? So do that. Now, in that I wrote, love honors you as you are and trusts you unconditionally. In her adoring eyes, you can do no wrong. All that you did and will ever do is part of her fascinating story. Your mistakes are welcome. Your blunders are necessary. Through them, love shows you how unflinchingly she cherishes you. In love's infinite wisdom, there is no duality, no good or bad, right or wrong, saint or sinner, better or worse. All are equal, beautiful, and divine sparks. All are adorable, precious, and exquisite. All are radiant manifestations of the divine. When you love unconditionally, you experience what your soul has always desired, to be one with love, to be love. So I know this goes against everything our mind and our ego and our humanness does to us and does with us to the world. I know that we go around judging everything and everyone, being mad at people for the things that they don't do that we think that they should do, as if we could control the world, as if we could change people, as if beating ourselves up was going to help us in any way. The truth is, it doesn't. The truth is that that's why we stopped beating kids up, because when we beat them up, we learned that they became either very submissive and docile or very rebellious. But they definitely didn't have much of a mind of their own, and they definitely weren't thinking for themselves. So, because we learned that, we stopped beating kids up, but we still continue to beat ourselves up. But consider this: what if you could actually look at yourself with adoring eyes? What if you could tell yourself that your mistakes are welcome? What if you could tell yourself that your blunders are necessary? What if you could love yourself unconditionally? It's not easy. It will definitely be a challenge. But what other challenge would you like to have? Is there a greater challenge that you can think of? Is there a greater, more fulfilling way to live than to know that you are loved regardless of your flaws and your mistakes and all of that? And what if you could pass that gift on to others? And you could say that instead of judging people as right or wrong, good or bad, because that's the nature of the mind. The mind is dualistic. It looks at the world as positive or negative, black or white, right or wrong, good or bad, saint or sinner. And instead of seeing that, if you could see, as it says in Loving Soulfully, all are equal, beautiful, adorable, and precious and exquisite, all are divine sparks and radiant manifestations of the divine. Think about it. When you love unconditionally, you experience what your soul has always desired: to be one with love, to be love. So, if you'd like to know the secret to being a loving being, then consider this: that the journey is really about learning how to train your mind to go beyond judgment. Because the moment you judge, you'll notice you get upset, and you'll get angry, and you'll get hurt and be agitated. But if you could take this one statement, "Judge not, lest you be judged," and apply it in your life, I wonder if by contemplating this one statement, it might make a difference in your life. Have you been practicing something like this? Do you at any time try to not be judgmental? Does it work for you? What challenges do you face when you try to do this? What obstacles do you come across? How do you manage to stay away from judgment? I'd love to hear about your journey regarding this. I'd love to know how you're able to accept your own mistakes and how you're able to accept the mistakes of others. Because sometimes those mistakes can be very costly and they can be really hurtful. And yet, if you consider it, we all make mistakes. We're all guilty of this. I'm certainly guilty of it. I've done my share of messing up all through my life. And I know that if I'm going to mess up, then I need to know that others are going to mess up as well, and that we're all in the same boat. And if we are in the same boat, can we practice being kind with each other? Can we practice being considerate of each other's flaws and mistakes? Can we practice being compassionate? It isn't easy, I know. I know, because we all have a mind. That's the one thing we all share in common, the one cross we bear. But this mind, much as it wants to torment us, can we step back and tell it, no, it's no longer allowed. It's no longer acceptable. It's no longer a way that I'm going to live my life. I am not going to judge anyone. Thank you, but no thank you. What if you could very firmly put your foot down and say to yourself, this is no longer acceptable. This is no longer allowed in this mind body organism that I inhabit. I shall no longer accept being judgmental of myself or others. Would you be willing to join me in trying it out for the next 30 days? For 30 days, take on a commitment to yourself and to this group of people who are watching, and write down in the comments, say, I take a promise to not judge myself or others for the next 30 days. I'm going to practice. If you want to try it for 7 days, try it for 7 days. But whatever your um, inspiration might be, write it down in the comments and share with the others. Let's make it a group effort to try and refrain from judging ourselves or others, and let's see the results. I wonder if you could do this experiment with me and with all the others in the group, and watch for yourself what the outcome might be. And let's check back uh, in about a week's time. Maybe we'll check back in a week's time, and then again in 30 days' time for those who've chosen to be ambitious, and see what the changes were in your life. So contemplate this. Judge not, lest you be judged. If you're a person that doesn't like being judged, as I am, then perhaps you'll join me on this journey. Stay with me every day, every weekday. I'll be back. Keep looking out for my posts in which I'll be sharing here on Facebook, on YouTube, and later on Instagram I'll start as well, where we'll be sharing these contemplations, so that and inviting people to get together to improve ourselves and to take little steps every day to make our lives better. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for taking on this challenge, and have a wonderful day. I love you. Thank you.